Yes, guys, welcome back to the Once You're In podcast. Again, we're in the makeshift studio. I think I'm covering the sign. I believe my massive head is covering in. So it might say like, once you're in.
Yeah.
Once you're in my mouth.
Awful start. We said we're going to have a little bit of a catch up.
Why, what's wrong with that? You don't like that?
No,
Got one of your in my mouth?
No, there's worse that I've heard, but that's very bad. So yeah, we said we're going to have a bit of a catch up. This is predominantly going to be a Q&A because we have, apparently Finn's got loads of questions on today. I put the question box up a little bit later, so I didn't get as many. And then we got a few from last week. But we thought we'd have a bit of a catch up regarding the fact that me and Finn, for the first time I think ever.
Finn and I.
Me and Finn. Finn and I?
Finn and I.
Me and Finn. It's like Reese and Finn, it isn't Finn or Reese.
No, you say Finn and I. Like, if I was to say Reese, I wouldn't say me and Reese, I'd say Reese and I.
Reese and I. Okay, fair enough. Reese and I.
But you shouldn't say that.
Jesus Christ. Finn's in this like education mode clearly tonight.
Finn and I.
So Finn and I have both been extremely ill. Take the floor.
I don't know what happened. It was
Yeah.
it was literally after the podcast last week.
It was actually funny how it wasn't genuinely like straight away.
Yeah. So as soon as we finished the podcast, I felt okay. Like I didn't feel ill at all. Did the podcast, finished the podcast, warmed up my food, and it was warm. Like I don't think it was that, you know.
Well, what do you mean? Do you not think?
Because when I went and sat in my car, so I ate my food on the way home, which is like a 5-minute drive. I was eating on the way home, and even when I got in the car to eat, I was like, my stomach doesn't feel great. But I didn't think anything of it.
Yeah.
I think it was just because maybe it was a little bit later, because the podcast was a little bit later. I was like, maybe it's just because it's a little bit later. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Had my meal, went on a walk, had a shower, went to bed. Fine. Didn't feel ill at all.
No, you did say to me though that you didn't think the rice sat as well as it usually does.
No, but I think that's because it was just a bit later.
Yeah.
Like I ate closer to bed than I usually would. So, but my stomach I didn't go to bed like feeling really full or anything. Like, so my sleep was awful. Like, I was red hot, absolutely boiling. Had the fan on all night. I was sweating buckets. I woke up, must have woke up like 20 times, and like each time I couldn't really get back to sleep properly. Went for a wee like 3 times. I was like, this is weird. Like, and I was like, I could tell through the night I was getting ill. I was like, I don't feel right. Woke up and I was like, I am battered. Checked my aura ring and it was like 40 something. I was like, okay, right.
37, bro.
Mate, the next day it was 27.
Okay,
the next day it was worse. But the next day I felt better.
Yeah.
I think like because it was so close to getting ill, it's like the aura ring hadn't realised how fucked I was.
Yeah.
It was like, you're not that bad.
Yeah.
But I like knew I was worse than the aura ring was saying. So anyway, I was like, Shannon went to work and I basically, like usually I'm up way before Shannon, cracking on with work, she'll go to work, I'm still working, etc. Like, so I got up and I was like, I'm not going upstairs and working. I was like, I went back to bed and I just laid in bed and like listened to check-ins and made notes.
Did you actually get up?
I got up to go I woke up to go and like weigh myself and everything.
Did you get out of bed?
Yeah.
And then you were like, oh, fuck that.
Yeah, my head was pounding, and I was like almost feeling like I was gonna be sick, but I wasn't sick. I had a shower. I was in the hot shower for like 20 minutes trying to like sort myself out and still felt like shit. So I went back to bed, did a bit of work, fell asleep, did some more work. I got my laptop because it's upstairs, and basically we just stayed in bed for the majority of the morning and did work. I messaged Nath because Nath was coming from Portsmouth, which is like 3 hours away, and I've met him before, but we've not trained together before. And he at the time was like 9 weeks out, and we'd had this booked in for like months that he was coming to see me. And literally the morning of, I was like, I feel horrendous. So I sent him a message. I said, just let you know, mate, like I feel awful. I'm probably not going to be training today, but obviously I don't expect you to not travel. Come and see me still. I'll get to the gym and I'll see you in person. Which, to be fair, like I'm glad I went, but I was absolutely trashed. Like I went to be modified, walking to my car. So I have to park my car like 5 minutes away. Walking to my car, like my head was banging. I thought I was going to pass out on the walk. I was like, this is not healthy. I was driving in the car. I was driving. I was like, I shouldn't be driving, like feeling like this. This is after I'd been thrown up, by the way. I forgot to say that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was like dry heaving, like it was really nice. Couldn't be sick. Basically forced myself to be sick because I knew, you know, like your stomach's like so distended and painful that you know you need to be sick. Yeah. So I ended up being sick like twice, and then I was a little bit better, sick a bit more, and then I felt great. I was like, oh, I just needed to be sick. But then I still, like my head was still pounding and that. But literally, like towards the back end of the day, I felt a little bit better. I hadn't eaten all day. And like no matter what, I just, even the smell of food, like when I have to walk to my car, it's like I walk past like a Tesco and like I could smell like food and stuff. I was like literally like turning my stomach. Drive past the KFC, had the windows open and like aircon blasting. Drove past the KFC and I was nearly sick. I was like, fucking hell. So I didn't eat anything until like 7. And Shannon was like, right, what do you actually fancy? And I was like, try with Domino's.
Yeah, it was originally tomato soup and rice.
Yeah, no, I said to her, I was like, tomato soup and bread.
Yeah.
Or Domino's, and she was like, "What about tomato soup and rice?" And I was like that just turned my stomach. I was like imagining the rice because I'd been sick, and some of it was rice. Yeah. And to be fair, it was rice and pineapple crush hydroflow, which
that's a vile combination.
Yeah, it did do me. Like now, I haven't had the pineapple crush. Well, I have had it since, but I've had to mix it with Vimto.
Yeah.
So anyway, I was unwell. Went and saw Nath. He looked great. Felt a bit better for that. Like to be fair, I just felt a bit better for getting out. Still like managed to get back to work and everything, but I didn't like. I was doing check-ins without the camera on because I was like, literally, I'd be doing check-ins and I was like, I had my eyes closed because my head was just killing. Yeah. Like it's like I'd make the notes, I'd look at the sheets, and then I'd do the check-in for like 2-3 minutes, and I'd look at my notes again, speak again, like cause my eyes were killing. So yeah, then slept really well. Oh, I got the Domino's.
2 slices.
I had 2 slices and I couldn't finish it. Shannon was looking at me like really upset. She was like, "You're not all right." I was like, "No, I'm not." So I couldn't eat the Domino's, and I was 7 pounds down the next day. And since then, I've only gained 1 pound.
Shredded.
I can't gain weight. I've added an extra 50 carbs to my baseline diet where I was gaining weight pretty well before. I was gaining like 1 pound every week, and now I'm on the same diet and I'm not gaining weight, and I've added 50 carbs to it. So hopefully,
body's too fatigued. Yeah. I can't gain weight now.
Hopefully, I will gain weight. Yeah. I think I need a maintenance phase. So yeah, I was ill, but then I slept well that night. Felt pretty shit still the next day, so took that off. I knew like on the Tuesday, I was like, no matter how good I feel tomorrow, like I'm not going to be training because like, I was just battered. Took Wednesday off, Thursday off, so Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then I was pretty sound. Yeah. And then you were.
Yeah, so I was like a few days after, which is quite funny. You might be able to see by the way, guys. The door, I say the door, you don't even
it's a ghost.
See. Yeah, it's a ghost. Where we have the launcher and you're inside, we've got the doors open behind the actual curtain. So if you see movement, we're not getting robbed. However, my car might actually get robbed because some kids apparently were taking photos of it on a motorbike. They pulled up and just took pics of my car just before this. So I might not have a car by the end of this podcast. That's the risk that we're doing.
That'd be so funny if it went out and it was gone.
It's just gone. We'd be like, sick, right? You'd call the insurance. I'd be like, Sound, just pay me out. That'd be actually quite good. Buzzing. Yeah, it would be quite good. I need the money. I'd happily take the money. So, yeah, that's that. But no, went to a barbecue on Saturday. Thank you to Cam Z Fitness.
Sorry, I couldn't make it.
Yeah, it was actually a really good barbecue. It was good fun. I said to Cam, like when I was on, like before I left, I was like, usually this sort of stuff I'm not a massive fan of because it is just a bit, I don't know, it's just a barbecue. But it was actually like nice lads. I get on well with them all. It was good fun. Just like, like good vibes. I feel like it's a bit of a throwback to like what you do when you're 16. So Cam's got a lovely place. It's in the middle of nowhere. He had a swimming pool. We played some water polo. Just had a bit of fun. They did some some awards where they did votes. So it was like who's the gayest in the group and stuff like that.
Can't say that. Can't say that.
Who's the most homosexual in the group?
After that.
You're allowed to say that. You're allowed to say that. Like it's lad banter.
Can't say anything.
Who's the most sexually over that side? Like
which side? There's no sides anymore.
There's no sides. Fuck, shit.
You've been cancelled.
Cancelled. God, that's it. So yeah, they had like an award ceremony, which was quite fun. Luckily, I wasn't actually involved, but it was cool.
Because you'd have been.
Yeah. Whoa.
I mean, the most.
How are you assuming that? How are you assuming that? There was one about racism and all that sort of stuff. So. Luckily, I was just like, cool, I'm not partaking. But it's actually quite good fun because I was like trying to guess who they voted for and stuff like that. But no, it was really good fun. But then we had like a barbecue on the day. Obviously, it was a trend chat barbecue, believe it or not. So we had some barbecue food. And like Saturday night, I got in and it was a good 2-hour drive. So I trained at Gritness in the morning. So now I had some posing seminar thingy. Awful. I did say, I spoke to Jace and I said to Jace, awful name, innit? And he went, oh, long story, bro. And I was like, it better be because it's a shit name. I changed the name completely to something else.
Yeah, I wouldn't try. It's like they've tried to make it similar, but it's not.
No, it's awful. Like, have you seen when there's grit, they've got a slogan. It's like when there's grit, like,
There's
or
a nurse.
yeah, something,
Great.
yeah, something like when you show grit, it's like, oh,
You show Ness.
yeah, I don't even know.
The
It's
Loch Ness monster comes.
yeah, it's so bad. So yeah, so Saturday night got in at like 11, and like my stomach was like really, really like just a bit meh, like weird. You know, it just feels like, as you said, like you've almost got something that's just like lodged. So I lied down, and this was like genuinely like top 3 worst things I've ever done in my entire life. Like it was immediately like all the food. And bearing in mind, I dropped weight the following day, and I weighed myself when I got in, and I was down from literally the morning.
Weighing yourself?
No, but I weighed myself because I planned to have like a bit of a higher day anyway, because it was like 6 days into the like pullback. I've been pretty aggressive. I thought, okay, Saturday I'm not going to be taking my meals. I'll just eat what I want. But like I wasn't an idiot. I had like probably I guesstimated about like 3,800 calories, which a training day is literally that anyway. So it was like just high fats with a little bit lower carbs. So it was sound food wise. And then it was a case where I stepped on the scale. I was like, okay, cool, sound. And then like I lied down. My stomach was like just doing like it was like a washing machine. It was just all over the place. So I was like, okay, I can't lie down because it is like excruciating pain to lie down. So I like stood up, I walked around here, like just doing like steps in like this where we're at now for 20 minutes, and then I was like, right, I'm gonna go to the toilet. Went to the toilet, did more steps, moved around, went to lie down again, even worse. And I was like, right, okay. Then I went to the toilet again, and by this point I'd probably gone to the toilet like 2 or 3 times. And I think I got to bed about 1:30, but it was like I'd randomly lie and find certain positions where my stomach was okay, and then I'd like move the slightest bit, and it was like cramping. It was really, really bad, but it was like a deep, painful cramp, not like an ache. And then I must have woken up 2 or 3 times in the night. I didn't sleep as bad as you in the case of like waking up constantly. It was just like I'd wake up and just immediately need to go to the toilet. So I went to the toilet. And then in between every single check-in on Sunday, luckily Sundays I don't have that much work, but because I was away off Saturday, it was like, you know, just little bits and bobs. In between every single check-in, it was a case where literally I would have to go to the toilet. And I worked out it was definitely like, I think it was like 18 to 20 times I went to the toilet on Sunday. And I had it 2 meals, like I had my first meal at like 3 p.m. And it was where again, like, you know, you don't want to eat anything. And I just felt really nauseous. And I also had like this really weird cough that was like, force that I couldn't stop, and it was like I'd cough 3 times and be like, I don't even feel like I needed to cough, but I'd just randomly go and I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with me? It was like, it was like, usually you can tell you got a cough coming. Like, I just randomly just go, I'd be in mid conversation, I'm like,
mid check-in.
Yeah, what the fuck? There was a few check-ins, and I came in and she was like, God, that's bad. I had to literally pause because I could sometimes like, maybe I'm feeling it. I'd pause and just go like, ugh, and then carry on. It's so weird. I was like, what the fuck is wrong with me? So yeah, so that was that. And
that
then
was COVID.
Yeah, so then I that was that. I came in Monday. I trained Monday, probably a bit of a bad mistake, but I said to you like I had done nothing on Sunday other than do like 7,000 steps, and I was in bed for like the vast majority of the day, other than like a little bit of time in the morning. I didn't even do my cardio, which annoyed me. So I was like, I'm not just going to lie in bed again for another day. I didn't feel amazing, but you know when you just get out and you're like, okay, I can't train 100%. I'm just going to move a bit of blood around. My head was okay. And you're just a bit like, let's just see how things go. But I felt so hollow. Like I did 2 sets of a Nautilus shoulder press, and it was like the DOMs that I had through my chest and delts was like I've done like a whole session. It was stupid. So yeah, it was a bit of a mess session. But then yesterday was better. Today was really good. Today was full volume, but I can definitely tell like my CNS is cooked now. It's like ooh, maybe like 3 sessions on the trot. Probably wasn't the best idea, but then also I didn't like. You know, you just want to do something.
The first 2 sessions weren't that demanding, were they?
No,
really?
no. There was just like pump sessions. Yesterday was a little bit closer to full volume. Monday was like very much like devolume and like holding myself back intentionally. But yeah, that's that. So that's the illness sagas, guys. And that probably dragged on for a little bit longer.
All I've got to say.
Yeah, that's literally the only things that happened. Right, do you want to go for the questions, mate? Are these from last week?
So yeah, these are a few that we still had from last week. Why do you think, this is a good question, why do you think there is such a mix of condition at PCA? Unreal versus some so far off?
I don't think people, if I'm honest, I don't think it's unreal. I think it's just the standard that people should get to. Like, in my opinion, there's some absolute freaks out there, like who are genuinely inside out at amateur shows. But I think when people say unreal, I don't think if you go to many PCA shows, there's
let's just say really good versus really shit. That's
really
what
shit.
she's saying.
I'd say the people that are really good are the ones that have actually met the criteria, dieted properly, they're probably seasoned competitors, or they've just made sure to put the work in. And the ones that aren't is because PCA is the most, like, it's the easiest to see on social
readily
media.
available.
Yeah, it's the one, if you were to get into competing now, I feel like most people would say,
PCA is the first one you think about.
He's done a PCA show. They've done a PCA show, so I'm going to do PCA.
I've not.
No. You going to do a PCA show ever?
I've hung up my trunks. I've told you.
Okay. Yeah, you were going to.
I'm a
You
coach.
were going to last year. You weren't you? You had a PCA show planned, and I remember saying to you, "Don't do it."
I don't think I did.
You did for Men's Physique. You did.
My head was a mess on it.
Yeah, you had a PCA show like you were potentially thinking about jumping in, and I said to you after FitX, I was like, oh,
One for one, just leave it.
Yeah, just leave it there. But yeah, so I think it's one of those where it's easy to get up on, and also because they do post a lot on social media, you do see the people that are out of shape. I feel like if you were to go to most shows, there are always a few that are just like, oh, that's bad.
Yeah.
But now that it's reels of the lineup, if it's a small class and they get a second or a third place, it's posted. It's so much easier to see.
That I would say most shows have those people that you're probably like alluding to.
Yeah.
It's just that they don't actually get any exposure. Like, unless people are taking the piss, you might see the odd one on someone's story, like, what the fuck, look at this guy, like, out of shape or whatever. But usually it is just a case of like, okay, yeah, there's some really good people and some not so good people. The not so good people don't really get shown. But yeah, I wouldn't just say it's PCA. I would say it's probably every single federation, to be honest. Like, apart from like top tier pro bodybuilders. Even then, like, you still get odd ones where it's like, oh, they came in out of shape. Like,
Hassan.
it looked really, really soft.
So Tom Hames said...
he commented just like, it's not...
I didn't see the comment.
Yeah, he commented, it's like, it's not the coach's fault, he just doesn't stick to the diet.
Yeah. He put it in a group chat that I was in, and he said literally, like, he was like, the only time I think he's got in shape was when somebody lived with him. Like, he would like try and sneak out. Yeah, like he tried to sneak out at 2 a.m. Tried to sneak out at 2 a.m. to get donuts and shit. Imagine that, being like, right, Reece, you can't...
Bringing him back inside.
It'd be like, Reece, where the fuck are you going? Being like, no, just go into the shop.
But no, I think that is a good question, to be fair. But yeah, like, in terms of the people who are quote-unquote unreal or very good, like, they probably had a coach, they probably did some form of maybe like a pre-prep diet, or their starting point was good, they've spent enough time building muscle, they understood the level that they had to get to, you know, all those kind of things. And the people who weren't so good probably rushed to get on stage, probably doing it for a bit of fun, bit of clout, maybe not taking it seriously, probably didn't have a coach, or maybe, you know, going into it with the sort of mentality that like, oh yeah, I'll just see how I get on, instead of actually being, you know, wanting to go into it thinking, right, I'm going to be the absolute best I can, and I'm going to make sure I'll do everything that I can, you know, and even if you're not that well muscled, you can still get in good condition.
Right, top 3 breakfast meals.
That's a good question.
Yeah, I was thinking like breakfast meals. You mean like a McDonald's breakfast meal or something? Like, that's what I was trying to think.
That's what you eat?
No, I've never had a breakfast meal.
Never had Mackey's breakfast.
I haven't had a McDonald's breakfast. I swear.
The only time I've ever had a McDonald's breakfast.
Yeah, Sanaya has them before. I thought they looked like shit.
Only time, well, this is what I got, right? Yeah. The only time I've ever had one is when we were in Leeds. It was like a night out. This was probably when I was like 19, maybe 20. And on the morning, we were driving back, and I was driving back to Loughborough, but we were all stopped off on the way. And like nowhere else was open because it was Sunday morning. It was like, I think it was like 9 a.m. and like the shops hadn't opened and stuff. And they do bagel and jam.
Yeah.
I was buzzing. They literally do bagel and jam, like, and it's like, you know, like the Warburton sliced bagel. I was like, they literally do bagels and jam. I was like, I had that. I can't remember what else I got. I think I got like a wrap. It was like eggs and stuff. It wasn't actually that bad. But the bagel and jam I was buzzing about. I was like, I didn't think they did anything like that.
We were in the airport, and Sanaa was like, get me a Mackey's breakfast. And I was like, okay, let's see what there is. And I was like, it looks awful. It looks so bad.
Not great.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wouldn't have that.
Top 3 breakfast meals, what would you go for?
Are we on about like going out for breakfast, or?
No, I don't know. I don't know if he means like because I personally think it's like, I don't get how people, you'll have clients where they're like, chicken and rice first meal, it's not breakfast. Or you say to somebody, I'll have eggs as a final meal. They're like, I can't have eggs. Eggs is for breakfast. I don't get it. Like, for me, breakfast is what I have for my first meal. So I've rotated between, I had cream of rice for one part of prep. I had oats towards the latter end of prep as my breakfast. And then now I have like eggs, turkey rashers, egg whites, sourdough. That's what I kind of rotate between.
That is a breakfasty kind of meal.
Yeah, that is actually a breakfasty kind of meal. But I think if you were to say to most people like cream of rice first, like for breakfast, they'd be like, oh, what?
Doesn't matter, does it? Protein and carbs.
Yeah.
If I was going out for breakfast,
you do go out for breakfast.
I like going out for breakfast. I would say some form of like eggs Benedict or eggs Royale or something like that. Steak and eggs and titties.
And titties.
Steak and eggs and titties.
That's at night time. Titties in the morning.
Yeah, not really worth it. No. Steak and eggs though. When you got, like, to be fair, in Barcelona, when I got steak and eggs at this place, it was class.
No titties?
No titties. No. There were some titties on the wall.
Okay.
For ages, I've been having basically steak and eggs at home, but it's not steak, it's 5% beef. But I've been having that, and then yogurt and granola and fruit, which, to be fair, like, I absolutely love my breakfast. My first meal is like probably my favourite meal. That's probably also because that's when I've got the most of an appetite, because I'll have a shake, but then I'll not have anything in the morning, and like go on a walk before first meal. But yeah, that's what I've been having. I've recently changed it because after I was ill, like, you know, when you just sort of lose a bit of an appetite for some different foods. So I changed it from beef to just having eggs and bagels, and then still having the yogurt bowl.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say like yogurt, granola, whey. Like if you just want like one meal, like you can't really beat that as if you've got like a sweet tooth. Eggs and bagels with maybe smoked salmon, really nice, or even just with like turkey bacon, really good. And then other than that,
do you know what the funny thing is? I was thinking, like, I was trying to think, what do you have as a breakfast when you were a kid? And it's like cereal, like cereal and milk. Like, it's mad. Shreddies, guys. Shreddies.
I used to have oats, to be fair.
Yeah.
Growing up, I used to have like porridge with. It was funny because like every morning, my mum would literally every morning I get told off. So it was like she'd make my oats for me. Yeah. I call them pobbies, right? Still call them that now. Yeah. So I'd have my pobbies in my.
Why is that where they were? Was that from like the packet? Or what you why do you call them that?
Because porridge, pobbies, my mum called it that as I was a kid.
Okay.
Or maybe I said it when I was little, you know what I mean?
Your mum's retarded.
Yeah, you can't say retarded.
Mentally ill.
Cut that out.
Your mum's mentally ill.
So I had my Postman Pat bowl, my Postman Pat bowl with my pobbies in the morning. And the sugar, brown sugar was like there. So like I'd have the brown sugar over the top layer. And then mum would be like, right, that's it for the sugar.
Right, they do the same.
I'd just eat the top layer. And then I'd go, and mum would be like, stop it, that's enough now. And then I'd basically have like, I'm not even joking, probably 10 teaspoons of sugar.
I used to do that with Shreddies. Like my mum would literally, the exact same thing. I'd have like, we had a jar and I'd just go like, and I'd look at it and go, nah, more. And I just had so much sugar. But in my head, I don't know why. I think it was because I attributed sugar as like, oh, it's a treat, it's bad. So I was just like, yeah.
Mate, honestly though, like it made it so much nicer, and I'd have honey as well. Like, it was probably about 200 carbs. Start of every day.
Fair enough. No. To be fair, surprisingly, you were skinny.
Yeah, because I was playing football.
Built up your metabolism from that.
Yeah.
England losing was written in the stars since the undeserved penalty in the semis. Now I think it was written in the stars because we were shit through the whole tournament.
Yeah.
I think that's the answer.
Was that the question? Is that a question?
Yeah. Do you reckon it was undeserved or written in the stars because it was an undeserved penalty?
We weren't good enough. We didn't deserve to win. If we'd have won, like, it'd been great. But also, like I was saying, like, imagine how shit that'd be for Spain. Yeah. Like they were the best team by a mile, and then we were just like, basically like Burnley.
Yeah.
And if we'd have beaten them, it would have been a bit unfair, wouldn't it? Would have been cool still. From Rimini, first of all, best Conte cream of rice. I think salted caramel.
Salted caramel. Yeah.
I haven't tried the caramel biscuit.
I had it. It was a similar, same as the way. You know that like
got a bit of a cinnamon.
Yeah, like I think a lot. I've had clients
tastes more artificial. I know.
Yeah,
a lot of my clients
really
love
like it.
I think it's the best caramel biscuit flavour I've had, because I've tried other like caramel biscuits, stuff like Biscoff, and I just don't think it tastes anything like Biscoff. Salted caramel, I think it's the best by a mile. Triple chocolate's decent. The white chocolate and the hazelnut one, I don't really like, just because I'm not a massive fan of like white chocolate. I'm not a massive fan. Not hazelnut, coconut. I think it is. I'm not a massive fan of like coconut flavoured stuff. Yeah. What's the worst exercise you've seen on someone's training plan?
The person who's asked.
Motorbike rows.
Mate, the funniest thing ever happened the other day. So Ramini, she won't mind me saying this, she was like, oh, my legs, like Sanaa was telling her off apparently about her like doing a horrendous leg press set. And I was like, nah, it's fine. Like, you've grown loads since you started it with Finn. I guess you're not doing like shit exercises. Like, I guarantee on your training plan you were doing those where you lie down on the bench and do like a behind leg press. And you know where you like press, you know, you're lying on a bench, how females do for glutes.
Yeah.
And she was like, she laughed. She goes, I was doing that. And I went, okay, that's enough. I'm gonna go. I just walked out. I was like, yep, sound. I just like started dying. So I was like, I said it as a joke, being like, surely not. Yeah. Worst exercise, probably the motorbike rows is like, I had to Google it. You're training out of an ultra flex gym. There are millions of rows, and you're deciding to program a client to do all the rows.
Not millions.
There's lots of rows. I reckon you could do with all the machines, like single arm, dual arm, different setups. You could probably do 30 rows.
No, probably more.
Maybe more, maybe 50. Like 30 to 50.
That would all be better than
that. Would all be better than that. And you've literally chosen a movement where you're stood, and for Ramini is like a fucking 55 kilo female, isn't she? How much
less
weight?
than that now.
Yeah.
She's 108 pounds.
Yeah. So like she weighs like the same as like this Conte jug, and she's like trying to stabilise and trying to pull herself. Like it doesn't make any sense.
I had to Google it. There was there was quite a few exercises that I had to Google. But yeah, other than that, like obviously now and again it depends on the client. Like often I'll say to a client, like, let me know what you have been doing.
Yeah.
Show me, like, send me over your split, or if you've got a previous training program, send it over. And some people don't. Some people are just like, I've just kind of been like winging it for the last however many months. Yeah. But some people do have, like, maybe come from another coach and they'll send over their program. Like, for example, I had a client who came over, sent me over his nutrition plan. He was prepping. He was 6 weeks out. I'll just say it was Owen. And in his meal plan, it was like, if you're hungry, eat as much veg as you want. And if you want, have half a tub of healthy ice cream. I was like, what the fuck? Yeah. Like, so basically all the time when you're hungry in a prep, just have half a tub of healthy ice cream, which I'm going to assume is like Halo Top, but could be anything. You could get like the Ben & Jerry's vegan one, which is still like 1,000 calories a tub or whatever. Oh, it's healthy. So yeah, like there's a lot of shit out there. Motorbike rows being one of those main things.
I had a guy come to me who was doing like, honestly, ridiculous stuff. Like we're talking like 25 sets a session, all supersetted, like sets of like 20 to 30, but like supersets that don't make sense. Like he was like supersetting a deadlift, and it was like, what? Like, and he's doing like a set of 15 deadlifts. Supersetted. Yeah, it was honestly, it was like that. And to be fair, the guy that's just sending me through training clips, he was coached by a popular influencer, and his training plan was the most generic thing I've ever seen. Name begins with T.
Just say it. It rhymes with, and say something really obvious, so we know exactly who it is.
Pycles.
It rhymes with BM's Tycles.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, it was. And to be fair, I said to him the reason why his training plan was shit was because it was he signed up for a transformation photo shoot, and he actually looked good for the photo shoot, so done his job. That wise, but I said for an off season.
That's not really his thing, which he'd probably admit.
Yeah, and I think
BM
Tycles would admit that. Fucking hell. But yeah, it was like just like 2 sets of 8 to 12, one set of 12 to 15 of the most generic flat bench press, high incline Smith machine press, machine fly, tricep extension, overhead extension going, and it was just like
it could be worse.
Well, no, the exercise it just was like really, really generic, and I was like, there's no actual programming here. Yeah.
This is a good question. I'm not going to tell you who it was, although you might have seen it. Okay. Cut out seasonings a few weeks before show day. Question mark.
What, do I have to guess who it is?
No, just do you think it's a good idea? Do you think it's necessary? I think the key is a few weeks.
Yeah. What do you mean a few weeks? Like,
well, I think you don't need to cut out seasonings. No, I think like maybe in peak week.
And like, even then, I just would prefer to, because imagine you're seasoning everything the same, and then you're in a position where you then pull that out. Sodium's going to be
a lot of seasoning is high in sodium.
Yeah, so like that's then going to push. So if I was to say, hey mate, can you have an extra couple grams of sodium today? If they're pulling it out, it's going to be hard to gauge because then it's just going to put them back to a baseline.
The only thing is, so this is from Matt Butcher's Wet Dream. Okay. He does have a lot of seasoning. Like there's been times where he's like, mate, my stomach's awful. I just put too much of this seasoning on. Usually, whenever he has stomach issues, it's because he's used too much seasoning. So I would just actually standardise your seasoning from now, mate. Like you're relatively close to shows now anyway. Standardise your seasoning now. Stick with it throughout. Even if, throughout a peak week when obviously you're having maybe fat loading days, let's say, you could still season those foods.
Season your whey and dark chocolate.
You do know there's other foods in a fat load. All you think for pro fat is whey and dark chocolate.
No,
there are other
no,
foods.
No, that's just for me because it's easy because it takes me 3 seconds to eat it.
Yeah, there's other foods out there, guys.
There's other foods with fats and proteins. Wow.
I thought it was whey.
Well, I thought it was whey.
Your rest days at the minute?
No way.
Go on, what are your rest days?
Pro fats. No, admittedly, the one that we had, it was 4 whey meals, and but that was just because we were busy. No, it was 2. Yeah, 2 pro fat. No, 2 whays. So dark chocolate.
So your pro fat for you is whey and dark chocolate. No, it means the same thing.
First meal was 5 eggs, 3 turkey rashers, and 100 grams of egg whites. Second meal was whey and dark chocolate. Third meal, pro fats. That was the pro fat meal. Third meal was chicken and lettuce. Fourth meal was
just pro
whey No, chicken. No, it's chicken sausages. So they got like 2 grams of fat per 2. So I have 8 of those. So that's what 8. 8? Yeah. So that was that. Then I had whey and dark chocolate again.
Perfect.
And then for my final meal, I had 225 grams of beef mince with 2 eggs. Anabolic.
That's what I was having in the morning. It's not that much because
yeah.
I'm a small natty. I was having 100 beef and 2 eggs and then yogurt and granola.
Yeah. But I felt like that's such a masculine meal.
It's nice, isn't it? Yeah. It's a mass builder.
Mass building meal. I have it, immediately feel like such a man. I'm like, so now where are you? I take my top off and I'm like, so much hair
Do
on
you
my
eat
chest.
it off the chopping board?
I don't
Do you even cook the beef?
No, I just have it raw.
Raw.
Yeah, I go actually kill a cow. Kill a cow, then I just find a chicken and squeeze an egg out. That's what I do. I feel like such a man. So yeah, those are my pro fat days.
So, going back to the question.
Yeah, sorry, much of veg.
I wouldn't cut out seasonings a few weeks before.
No,
I would just standardise them, don't go crazy with them. And then also, like, don't overthink it as well. Like, if you're stressing, like, let's say in a peak week, if you've been having a lot of potato, and then let's say you have a couple of pro fat days and you're not having potato, like, last thing you need to be thinking is, oh my God, what about my seasoning? Like, usually on pro fat days anyway, like, you're probably not going to be consuming as much sodium because you're having less carbs in your diet. Yeah. You're probably having maybe a little bit less fluid. Even if you just drink to thirst, you're probably going to drink a little bit less. Like, so yeah, I wouldn't overthink it. It's like with stimulants. Like, yeah, within peak week, I'd be taking out like pre-workout or your Himbine or anything like that, just to first of all reduce fatigue or potential like any potential sort of issues in driving up fatigue. But also obviously just with like having if you are a natural athlete, if you potentially have a drug test, making sure you don't get like a false positive. But I'd also take them out anyway, just to actually aid uptaking carbohydrates, resting, recovering. Like the goal in the last week isn't to be having loads of caffeine or your Himbine or anything like that that's going to drive up that fatigue anyway.
Yeah.
Final one from last week.
Yep.
Who faster out of the you two? Hashtag not in bed, hashtag sickos. James Alabaster.
Makes sense. Love you, James. Who's faster? Definitely you.
I am rapid.
Yeah, no, definitely you. Just from a weight standpoint, I feel like if we were similar weight, I think it would be a better battle. But I'd be like really lean and Finn would be obese if we were similar weight. So, like, yeah. So I'm not too sure. But Finn would. I can't even run at this point. I don't mean that. I genuinely don't think I could even get into a jog without. Jesus Christ. All right, crack on, bro. We've got loads of questions.
Thank you for all the questions, guys. Do appreciate it. It's really cool, actually, that we do still get this amount of questions. And the podcast, again, at the minute, sorry it's been a little bit slack. Like, we do apologise. And we know that this studio is not ideal. Yeah. But hopefully the audio and everything's okay. And
we need to start grinding. Let's grind. Let's get through these questions.
You've got quite a few.
No, I've only got that. So it's still decent.
Okay. Leo Hamilton asked, always had the mentality of progressing throughout diets, so struggling... Oh, sorry, this is the second part. Starting to drop numbers on big compounds, hack, RDL, big presses, 12 weeks into cut. Always had the mentality of progressing throughout diets, so struggling with this. Any tips?
Look at your overall volume. Look at how you were training in your off season. I think a lot of people where their training drops off is because they were relying upon a lot of like just momentum and oomph in their off season because they're big, fat and eating a lot of food, which is sound. I think there's definite warrant to doing that, but prior to a prep or prior to a long diet, getting your execution nailed, getting your movements nailed. Like he could easily be doing like, oh, I love doing a flat bench because it's such a mass builder or something like that.
About eating beef and eggs.
Yeah, but eating his beef and eggs, and now he's struggling to hold on to numbers. So I'd pick movements that you've got a good amount of stability from. I'd slow things down, I'd assess execution, all the stuff that's quite boring, but I don't think we actually do. And then also at the same time, like you've got to understand, especially if you are natural, your leverages are changing, even with enhanced bodybuilding, but obviously there's going to be androgens kind of driving that kind of like against the curve of, okay, you're not going to be losing loads of strength. But at the same time, when you're within a natural prep, you're going to be running on no assistance. It's going to be pretty challenging when you're really, really, really lean. But I also think at the same time, a lot of people do naturally just accept, oh, I'm lean and I'm going to drop numbers. In my opinion, within an enhanced prep, I don't think you should really get weaker at all, other than maybe on like a deadlift or whatever, like a stiff leg deadlift, or like a big movement, hack squat, etc. But I think in, let's say, like an enhanced prep, you shouldn't really lose strength at all. In a natural prep, I think if you're legit conditioned at like 4 weeks out, okay, fair enough, I could understand. Like 2 weeks out, 100%. But like if you're 8 to 10 weeks out, and like the guy who's dieting, it's not even a prep, it wouldn't surprise me if he's still got an alright amount of body fat. It's just a case where he just needs to embrace it and think, okay, cool, I need to assess what we've said, and then really just work upon making sure his quality of volume is as high as possible, and going from there.
Yeah, I would also set realistic expectations in regards to progression. Like, I will often sort of say to my clients, especially as a diet progresses, like the goal is now like retention. Like, yes, if you can get a rep up here or there, amazing. If you feel great and you want to add a bit of load, amazing. But also, like, let's say, for example, you're doing 180 on a stiff leg and it's moving really nicely for 6 reps. And the next week you're like, oh, I feel great, I'm going to do 185, and you get it for like a double because you've lost 2 pounds the week from the week before. You can't really brace. And yeah, you've gained 5 kilos of strength, but you've lost 4 reps. Like, what's the actual stimulus going to be like from that? Is it really going to be a quality set? Probably not. So like, you probably would have been better off going, right, I'm going to go on 180 and I'm going to do my absolute best to get 6. If I can get any more, great. But even if I can just get 6, like, I'll be happy. Like, I remember within my prep, the squat press at Rotherham. I literally drove to Rotherham because there wasn't a squat press near us then. I drove to Rotherham every Wednesday to do 1 set on squat press. Like, obviously I did the rest of my session, but that one,
the one set.
That one set was like the main
main
thing. It was like, I need to hold on to my strength here. And for pretty much the whole prep until we stopped training at Rotherham, I was doing the same load for pretty much the same reps. Like, yeah, it wasn't really progressing, but it wasn't going backwards. And that definitely, like, I know for a fact that held on to a good amount of my leg musculature, because when I stopped doing that and we didn't train at Rotherham, my legs were definitely not quite as good. And that was also partly down to, that was when I was like pushing myself more with cardio and steps, etc. But yeah, I would look at like retention rather than trying to stress over progression. I'm not saying don't try and progress, but don't put so much pressure on it. And then I'd also look at even just things like meal timings and sort of macronutrient split within the day. Could you put more of your food pre-workout? Are you actually having any, if you're having carbs post-workout still, take them out, put them into your pre. Are you sleeping well? Could you put more carbs before bed? Training wise, I would look at your exercise sort of order. And for example, if you were doing the hack 5th before, move it to 1st or 2nd. There you're going to hold on to more strength. Like, maybe just do a hamstring curl then the hack instead of carbs, abs, ham curl, leg extension. By the time you get onto the hack, it's been an hour and a half since you've had your 60 carb pre. You're already battered.
What you mentioned about food, though, is really important. Like, really important. I think a lot of people, like, especially when it comes from like leisure, just enjoying training, they might like to have a nice dinner, you know, where it's like, if you're training in the morning, like, your dinner's irrelevant. Like, you should be on like
save yourself, like,
Likewise, if
what
you're on
would you have for pro-fat?
Pro-fat, way in dark chocolate, shit. No, and if you're, let's say, for example, on like a rest day, I've had it plenty of times where people go, food's low on training days, but they're eating like similar on non-training days, and it's like, just pull down. Like, if you're eating, let's say for example, you're on 300 carb training days and 200 carb non-training days, pull the non-training day carbs down. Like, pull them down, and obviously you're not going to be able to shift equally. Okay, I pull 100 carbs off twice a week, and then put them short on training days. No, but you'd be able to like them therefore push.
I'd rather have trace carbs on rest days.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, literally, like you're doing now.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd rather
just
do that.
Food. Yeah. Like, I'm just having whey every single
Just
meal,
whey,
just very fats, guys. Right, have you ever had a client who binged during prep? If so, how did you deal with it? Well, to be fair, we answered the last podcast we did. We spoke about it for a good amount of time.
Yeah.
So, have you ever had a client who binged on prep, mate?
Yeah.
Yeah, we both have. Not loads.
No, it's one of those, like, I will always, like, I'm never somebody to tell someone off.
No.
Like, that's not my job. Like, you're not a kid. Like, I'm not a teacher.
It doesn't build a good relationship.
No, I've never told the client off.
Yeah.
Like, I've never raised my voice at a client, or, you know, when like clients will say in a check-in, like, oh, give me a telling off this week. I'll literally say, no. I'll say, my job isn't to tell you off. Like, my job is to educate you and try and work around it. So, like, in the past, if people have overeaten within a prep, then it's like, right, this has happened. It's not ideal. Let's draw a line under it. How can we move forwards from it? That is it. Like, there's no point kicking someone when they're down when they already feel shit about it. But also, you have got to sort of explain to them, like, look, you've shot yourself in the foot here. You've made it a lot harder for yourself within this prep. Now, yeah, you know, it's one of those, like, if somebody overeats, their inclination is then, oh, it's all right, 'cause I can just dig harder. But that digging harder just makes you look worse and actually promotes binging again. And then you just get into a cycle where you binge again, and then you go, oh, it's all right, because last time I got my body weight back down by doing double my cardio and not eating for 3 days. And then you binge again. And you're like, oh, but it's all right, because I made up for it last time. It's like, well, you didn't make up for it last time because you binged again. So, like Reece said on his reel, if that happens, like, I would honestly just say, like, just leave it. Like, probably just stop your prep there. This is us say, like, when I say this is like somebody binging and gaining a lot of weight, let's say. Like, if somebody goes, hey, mate, I slipped up a bit last night. I ate a little bit more food. Like, I'd be like, cool, thanks for telling me. It's not the end of the world. Like, let's see what the damage is in the look today. Let's see what the damage is on the scale. Let's move forwards from it. Draw a line under it. Don't let it happen again. That's it. And if it happens again, then you've got to be like, right, you've been an idiot now. You're making it harder for yourself. Like, why is this happening? Let's try and find out what the triggers are. The triggers might be, I didn't eat for 7 hours because of this or that. It's like, well, you need to plan better then, because of course you're going to be hungry and you're going to want to overeat if you haven't eaten for 7 hours. So it's difficult. But yeah, like I say, I would never tell someone off. I would just always be like, right, this is it. This is what's happened now. You can't change the past. It's the same with post-show when people don't manage it well. There's no point beating them up about it and making them feel shit.
Beating them up.
Literally beating them up.
Yeah, go ahead and meeting them.
I'm coming round.
Yeah, I'm coming round.
No, there's no point like kicking someone when they're down. But also then there's no point mollycoddling them and being like, oh, it's all right.
Okay.
Like,
which
you got to find.
nowadays.
No, you got to find a middle ground.
It's so strange. Like I think that's actually the worst thing to do. Is to be like,
don't worry about it.
It's fine.
Yeah,
we can move past
it's great.
it. No, just accept you've been a bellend.
Yeah.
Have some accountability.
Hold your hands up. Weigh yourself the next day. Take photos the next day. Stop hiding from it.
Yeah.
Like, actually, like you say, take that accountability, because again, this is post-show as well. I have clients post-show not check in for however many weeks, or they'll overeat and be like, I just won't weigh myself tomorrow because I don't want to see it. And it's like, no, actually weigh in and accept it and go, okay, cool. I ate this amount of food when I went out with my family and I had a really good time, and it led to this on the scale, and it led to this in the gym. I performed great, but I looked a bit shit. Like, actually have the data from it and be like, okay, I know how I feel from it. A lot of the time as well, you'll realise you don't feel better for it. No. Like, nobody gains 15 pounds in 2 days and feels good. Like, you might have a bit more weight in the gym.
You might train a little bit better.
Yeah, but you still don't feel amazing. No. Like, you probably feel a bit shit, that your sleep's not great, your digestion's not great. Yeah. So yeah, I think that's covered that.
That's a good answer.
What should be, this is from my client Donald, what should be your main focus on a prep? Does there need to be a balance between bodybuilding and life?
Depends really on where you're at. If you're a first timer doing let's say an amateur show, in my opinion, it's like probably just enjoy yourself and have some good times, but at the same time block in when you need. It really depends on what you want out of it. I think people nowadays are losing their lives and losing relationships over plastic trophies of shows where their potential's zilch, and they're just going in and they're going to probably get like a 6th or a 7th, and they're like, no, I've got to be on it, or this, got to be in bed by this time, and it's like, there is more to life than fucking stepping on stage. But at the same time, if you have that mindset and you're like really, really good and you're doing a really, really good show, you'll probably get beat by people that are more locked in. I look at it and think like, I never think about stuff like this, because I think in my head, it's like, well, the sacrifice I make, they're the ones I want to make. And it's almost like a non-negotiable. Yeah, it's like, I go to the bed at the same time. Cool. Like, that's not, oh my God, I can't stay up. I can't play video games. I can't do this. Like, no, I just got to go to bed at the same time.
You do it in your off season anyway.
Yeah, when I'm doing cardio, it's like I do cardio year round. It's not going to be, oh my God, I'm prepping, I have to do cardio. So like, I don't think about it as a sacrifice, because I've done it for so long. It's just part of my routine. And if I was to not ever be able to compete, I'd still have my meals at the same time. I'd still do my cardio. I'd still go to the bed at the same time. I'd still keep my same sort of routine. But I think nowadays, if it's really much of a challenge and you're like, am I losing my life or losing this? Like, a lot of people say, like, I find it really, really like baffling when you hear people nowadays, and you probably have clients like this, and we've spoke to people like this, where they almost say, like, I need to relax from bodybuilding. And it's like, that's sad, because bodybuilding should be a benefit to your life. It should be a benefit to your life. It shouldn't be like where you're almost thinking, oh, I can't wait to stop prep, because then like I can even focus on my mental health.
Even how battered I was after prep, like my main focus was like, I want to feel good to train and grow again. It wasn't like, I need a break. It was like, no, I need to grow. I want to get in the gym and feel good again. Like, but to be fair, like, so I want to ask you the question again. Yeah. Just the first bit. What should your main focus be on prep?
The first thing is actually just getting in condition. That's what.
The answer is getting in shape.
Yeah, getting in shape. Right. Like if you're peeled, it doesn't care. It doesn't matter if you're under-muscled. If you're, let's say, structurally pretty poor. If you're peeled, you've done your job. Same from a coaching standpoint. We've done our job.
Donald is close to being peeled. He's very lean already. Yeah.
And I feel like when it gets to the point where you are really, really lean, it is sometimes challenging when you get those sort of thoughts of, oh, it'd be nice to be able to go to a Nando's or do this or do that. But there's plenty of time. Like, let's say, for example, Donald, he might do 1 prep and that's it, but he might also do 5 to 10 preps. But let's be frank, he's not going to be doing preps when he's 40. Like, I doubt it. He might do, but I doubt it. And again, I think a lot of times we live in this very short bubble, and it's like people will probably compete from age 18 to 35, and then you have the rest of your life. Likewise, you had the rest of your life before. It's a very
Not got much longer.
unless you mean.
You got the extra 2-3 years after that.
Yeah, I get 2-3 years of enjoying myself and then I'm dead. So yeah, that's that. But no, again, it's one of those where just again lock in for where you're at. Finn says you're in a good spot, so you're in a good spot.
He's in a good spot.
And don't be questioning like what's more important. Just be thinking, what do I have to do to get through this, and realise that the prep's going to end, and you'll probably look back at the times you're at now and think, oh fuck, I should have enjoyed it, instead of maybe thinking.
Especially with the spot he's in, like
yeah.
He messaged me today because I told him to have a couple of days of cardio, and he messaged me, was like, why are we doing this? I want to stay ahead, and I was like, mate, you are ahead. Yeah. Like, you don't want to get into that mentality of just chasing a scale weight. Like his glutes are pretty lean. He's got lines through his glutes. He's doing MBFI, so it's like 7.5 weeks. Okay. His first main show. Yeah. He's not like, for 7.5 weeks out, he's bang on. Like he's ahead for 7.5 weeks out. He could be ready in like, let's say if we had to push him, he could be ready in 4. Yeah. So he's like a couple of weeks ahead. Yeah. Which is great because it just means you can lose a bit slower, and you have the luxury of having a couple of days of no cardio when your stress is a bit higher and stuff. So yeah, it's easier said than done. Just saying like, just try and enjoy it. But like, you really just do need to try and enjoy it. Like last year, like the days when prep was the easiest were the ones where I had the most fun, where my pressure, I took that pressure off me and just enjoyed a training session, or me and Shannon went and did something together in the evening to get more steps done. I didn't just go walking around the block. We went and did mini golf or something. Like they're the days where it's easier. Usually the days where you get a drop on the scale and feel like feel better, look better. Yeah.
Craziest cycle someone's come to you on, what other coaches have set for somebody?
Creatine.
Ever had anyone on L-carnitine?
No, it's just too new, that, isn't it?
Yeah. No, you hear about injecting it and you're like, oh!
Yeah, give it like 5-10 years and every night you'll be doing it. Yeah.
No, have you never had anybody come to you on some like weird, wacky shit?
I will have done, but I'm usually just like, I can't be arsed with that. Like,
I've seen I've spoke about this. I've seen a few things that are just stupid, where it's like fucking like 800 EQ and stuff with someone who's already got like high blood pressure, which is a bit like, okay, mate, because EQ drives up red blood cells.
If I get applications, if it's somebody who is either or has been on PEDs, like depends. Like sometimes you can tell when someone's clued up, and I'm more than happy to help you. And I have a few clients who are on TRT, and I'm more than happy to help them and just make sure they're not being stupid. Yeah. And I actually really enjoy coaching them and chatting about it. But then when you get people who like, they'll come to me like, I don't know what I should be doing, like here's my bloods, and they're either like really bad, or they've not done bloods in a year, or they're somebody who really like shouldn't be, in my opinion anyway, because I do have the opinion that if you're not very good genetically for bodybuilding, you shouldn't be taking gear. Like that's just my opinion. Yeah. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that, because I think the risk to reward just doesn't really make sense.
Yeah, and I think anybody who's bodybuilding, like if you haven't got good genetics, you shouldn't be bodybuilding.
Yeah. You're looking at me. Oh, you are.
I'm joking. You looking at me? Who else am I looking at? I'm joking, mate. I'm only joking.
No,
but no, it is true. I do agree. I agree firmly with that. Like, if you're just taking gear just to look good, like at a gym or whatever, like that's really, really sad. Like really, really sad. Like I think if you're being competitive within bodybuilding, and actually when I say competitive, I mean being competitive.
And the thing is as well, like most people, let's say, if you've got the basics down and you've trained for long enough, and some people really aren't genetically great, and that's fair enough. But most people, we've coached people who are genetically really good and people who are not genetically very good. Even the people who are not genetically very good, if they train really hard and they're really consistent, they look pretty good within 2-3 years. Like, it might take a bit longer than somebody who, you're like, shit, they look really good in 6 months. Yeah. Fair enough. Someone else, that might be 3-4 years. Yeah. But it's still going to come. Yeah. It just takes more time. In which case, like, realistically, I don't think that it warrants taking drugs unless you are wanting to be competitive at a decent level. Yeah.
Another guy, it wasn't a client, he came to me at Evo last year. And he was like, hey mate, I'm on 1.2 grams of test. He couldn't walk, and he was like, I'm on 1.2 grams of test a week. My first cycle, I pinned 600 milligrams in my left quad. I'm about to pin 600 milligrams in my right quad, but I'm doing test D and like test C. And I was like, well, firstly, they're very similar, like esters wise. I was like, why are you doing that? And I was like, please pull it down. So like, I said, don't inject for the next like 2 or 3 weeks.
I don't think he knew what he was saying. I don't think it was as high as he was saying.
Maybe he meant like 0.6 of a mil, and it was like, so I'm on 600 milligrams or whatever. But he was like, when I say zero muscle, it was like he looked not even natural. It looked like it might have been his first. Not even natural.
Worse than natural.
Worse than natural.
No,
he looked like he was in the first year of training.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe first, second year. But yeah, Matt, you go ahead, man.
The time period where you made the most physique improvements and how you did it.
Are these this week's questions or are these last week's?
This week.
Okay. Time frame that made the most improvements. Say lockdown made a good amount of improvements. Because that was like, we were definitely doing hard, heavy stuff.
You got to
set
think
good
that a lot of that is
foundations.
probably just based on like age,
Yeah.
workload. Like at the time, like we were like getting into coaching, weren't we? But realistically, we were both like I was PTing a bit. You had uni. I'd finished uni at that point, I think.
Yeah.
It's like workload wasn't high, stress was low.
Yeah. The 350 grams of cocoa. No.
Yeah, we
Cocoa
were
Pops and
training
Frosties.
for like 5 hours and like just having fun with it because
100
we
gram
had
dextrose
time.
shakes.
Yeah,
and stuff
like
training. Yeah.
rapid recovery shakes on the way home.
Yeah.
So yeah, lockdown. But I also do think like
Hamstring just cramped.
I'd have to say
That's enough.
he's out of it. Out
Sorry,
of stream.
guys. Hamstring just cramped.
I'd have to say
More hydroflow needed. Fuck.
yeah, like lockdown definitely. First lockdown in the shed.
Yeah.
And then I would have to say like my off season after I competed. Like
you rebound.
yeah. Well, to be fair, just like pushing up to that amount of body weight. Like what was it? It was like 90 weeks when I gained like something like 80 pounds or something.
Yeah.
And obviously I got fat, but I would have never like now, like when I'm training, like I'll see like I've done 6 plates on a Cybex hack, like yeah, it wasn't good, but now I don't see that as heavy. Even though I'm not doing that now, like I didn't pulled over 5 plates, I think I did pull like 230, and like now I see 5 plates as just like yeah, cool. And like again, I'm not doing that at the minute, but it's still like that period of my training would have I'd have never exposed myself to that.
Yeah.
And
I'd
like
say,
perceptions change when you actually get heavy and pretty strong.
Yeah. No, I'd say if I was to look upon like a period of time, like because it really depends, especially when you're using like assistants. But I'd say for like the natural realm, it was definitely like during the lockdowns for me because we were like I was a good amount in deep. I was probably like 7-8 years into my training at that point, maybe more. Yeah, 7, 8, 9 years. But that was, we were doing the same stuff. There wasn't really an excuse for us not to be doing like the same movements because we didn't have many options. We were just literally going in. We knew what numbers we were doing. We were going heavier because there was no one in the gym or anything. We didn't have like any, like, we used to always train in a pure gym. So people would say like, oh, that's really good. So we didn't have any comments or anything. So it was just like, yeah, going heavier. If you get a 1 rep max, sound, who cares? You fail, who cares? You just take 5 assisted reps. We would do leg presses with sandbags and stuff with shit range of motion, but every week we were like, right, we need to go heavier, we need to go heavier, we need to go heavier. We didn't care about, okay, maybe we could pause it or do more range. We were like, well, the range isn't the best, so let's just fucking go heavier. And we just found ways to progress over the period of time that we were training. And I think that was that. I'd definitely say, and then other than that, like the last year for me, like I'm not lean now, but I'm like 125 kilos and like I'm in okay shape. Like I'm not fat, but I'm not lean. But also to be at like 134, I wouldn't have ever thought that. Like I wouldn't have thought 134 kilos, like 295, like pretty not 300. But yeah, so I'd say like for me, progress-wise since assisted, definitely last year, because in between like first prep and second prep, I definitely was like, oh, well, I'm men's physique. I don't want to get too far above my kind of weight for that I would be at. I don't need to be above 120. Where when I came off stage last year, it was like, okay, I need to actually get heavy. I need to get strong and also take more gear because that's what open bodybuilding unfortunately is. So all of that contributed towards me making, I'd say, a good amount of progress. I had a guy message me today asking me about my leg progress, and he was like, your progress has been insane. I followed you, like you've blown up. And I sent him a voice and said, it's funny because you say that, but in my head I'm like, could have made way more, still feel small. But like it is funny from an outsider standpoint, like you almost in your head, you're always like, progress is all right.
Yeah, but that's because you see yourself every day and like you're always going to think that you could make more progress. It's like if you were to put a side by side, it's like even like whenever I get like clients and I put them side by side after 6 months or whatever, like even I'm like, oh, shit. Yeah. Like didn't realise it. Like like you are making progress, but I didn't realise it was that much. Like
right. Most proud coaching experience / worst. So
God.
Proud.
Most proud would be, it's a tough one actually, because like there's like ones where it's like wins, but then also ones of like getting Niall on stage, and like Niall winning the A1 was class because like I coached Niall for so long. He was like one of my clients from lockdown. Yeah. And like I saw him progress loads. He had to work really hard to get in shape, and he looked great on stage. And like he won his show, came second at the UKDFA. He looked mint. Like so that was like definitely a proud moment. Sonny, taking Sonny from physique to bodybuilding.
It's like
and
Conman this year.
Yeah, Conman. Really cool. Like exactly. Like people who you've coached for a long time.
You've gone through the journey.
Actually seeing them develop and like like seeing them develop as a person as well is really cool. Like like Butcher's Wet Dream this year, it's like, fuck, he looks mint. Like, he looked great last time, but like he's a good bodybuilder now, whereas before he was like pretty good junior, but he was a bit stringy. Like, whereas now it's like, shit, like he's really fucking good. Josh, obviously, like when Josh won I'd say excitement when Josh won the WMBF overall, because that was like not really expected.
Not when I won the overall, you didn't like that.
Well, I'm not going to say, I'm not going to class that as coaching you then. Like, I was helping and I was like, I'm not going to class that as coaching. And also, like, that was cool, but it was more expected than Josh winning it, you know what I mean? Jack winning all his shows that he was doing. I'd say it's difficult to pick one.
Yeah. I'll say my best. So I'd share similar. So I coach Conran. I was speaking to him about it. Coach him since he was 17. That's crazy, like, because that's like a big, think about when you were 17, like from 17 to like 21, 22 is a huge part of your life. You go from like, oh, I'm now not a child anymore, to being an adult. So yeah, seeing Conran on stage, he's on stage this weekend. James Alabaster is not doing it, thank God. So fingers crossed. Come on, Conran, you got to win this show, mate. That's the goal, which I think he definitely could, but we'll see. So yeah, that was really cool. I think it's like the people that you just, again, like as you said, like you put time into, but they put time into you, like relevant of like the placings and stuff. Because like I love like Finley Roberts, I love him to bits. As a person, he's a really nice guy. As an athlete, he's horrendous. He'd be the first one to say this. And when he won the overall, I was like, motherfucker, he got away with it. Sound, I'm happy for him. I was really happy for him, but I was like, he's not going to take this well because he'd fucked up in the diet enough times. And the sad thing is with Finley is like, I was really proud of him. But in the back of my mind, I was like, and it was like, and I said to him, like, you could have easily won a PCA Pro card, you could win a British title if you had been in shape. Like, Conor Flanagan had no right beating him if Finley's actually in condition, but he didn't, and Conor beat him. And then Conor got beat by that little other kid who was really good and stuff like that. So it was like, I loved watching Conor on stage last year, thought he looked awesome. Did really well. I think he got second at like pretty much every show that he did, bar like the ones that he won, which was really good. This year, Jacob Tipper, class. But then again, like, I almost expected it. Like when I saw him on stage for the first time, I was like, that's an overall winning physique in my opinion, and that was the case. The INBA show was wicked, but then obviously a bit of a letdown with.
That's like the same with Josh. Like I would be like if you told us a few years ago, like we'd be going to Vegas and I'd have a client win the Olympia, Natural Olympia as a teen, or as a junior, I'd be like, what? But then when you're actually there, it was a bit naff. So it's like, it was cooler, Josh winning, like the UKPA Heart of England, that was a really fucking good show. Really Josh winning that was like, what?
Ridiculous.
Yeah. And like even WMBF, like that was a good standard, and he looked great. Like, they would stand out more than the Olympia, even though the Olympia sounds cooler.
But I think it's as well like seeing people like change how they are. Like my conversations with Gul, similar. Like I think I coached him when he was like 17, maybe 16. You know, like let's say Will Holmes, like stupidly strong 16-year-old I coach. When he gets on stage, I'll be like, oh, that'll be fucking cool because he'll be very, very good. But also, I would have seen him go from a freak in the gym to like hopefully a freak on stage. So yeah, and a freak in the sheets. That's what a freak on stage, freak in the sheets.
That, 16-year-old.
Yeah, we'd love that. Let us know, Will. You're interested? It's gonna get weird. But yeah, I think it's the whole process. Now, worst experience. You had a bad show experience with anybody where they just don't like you and stuff? No, anything? I said that jokingly. They're actually. Fuck, sorry. I just said that without thinking. Yeah, any bad experiences? Like, what's it? Should I say the one that I said in the gym earlier? Because that's a bad experience. It wasn't getting someone on stage. I had a guy that I literally this time last year who's apparently he's 10 weeks out from a show, and I basically just told him to stop. I cancelled his payment and was like, I don't think coaching is the option for you, because he kept saying like, oh, I'm just missing out on a mass builder.
What was the question?
Most proudest coaching experience, achievement / worst experience.
Worst experience.
Yeah, and he was just awful. He just wouldn't listen to anything, and he just kept going off plan. And he was like 12 weeks out, and he was like, right, bro, I'm like, you need to lock in now. And he was like, yeah, I might wait till next week. You need to get this sorted. I was like, I don't think perhaps you, bro. So yeah.
Worst. I'm not going to talk about any recent experience, but in terms of like, when you think worst coaching experience.
The guy about rear delts and
that's all I can think about. One guy.
This was one of Finn's first clients. Like it was like no,
it was in the lockdown.
No, but when we were both actually like, oh, we've now got more than 10 clients.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In lockdown, I coached this guy. I can't actually remember his name. I think it was Chris something. I think. And obviously it was lockdown, but he had like a home gym. He was a PT as well, and he was sending me training clips. And like, he wasn't training very hard, so like I'd be saying like, look, form's pretty good, but you're probably leaving like 3, 4, 5 reps in reserve. Like, we can be getting more out of these sets. We can be pushing yourself close to failure. And like he'd say like, but I was saving my energy for my rear delts.
Or for the next exercise, and you were like, mate, the next exercise is rear delts.
Yeah, like it was. Yeah, I think it was like a T-bar row when he was like literally stopping like 10 reps away from failure, doing like 1 plate. And I was like, you can go heavier and you can push yourself a lot harder on this. Yeah. And then he was like, I was saving my energy for the next exercise, which like Reece said was like rear delts. I was like, you don't need to be saving your energy for rear delts. And then also when he started coaching, I asked him, and as I always do, what's your current expenditure? So cardio, steps. I think he said I was doing like maybe 8K steps, no cardio. I was like, okay, right, cool. Like usually what I'll do is I'll let them do the same. So when they start coaching, like they'll carry on with the same cardio, same steps that they were doing, unless they're really overweight and it's like, right, we need to get some cardio in. But for the first week or two, I'll be like, right, we won't change expenditure. Let me actually see when you're tracking it, what you're doing. And then obviously these are your food targets. After like the first week, he was like, why am I not doing cardio? The heart's the most important muscle. And I was like, you told me that you're not doing cardio. Like, I'll more than happily add cardio in once we've actually got like settled into the program. But like, I'm keeping things as they are while I actually assess your baseline data. So yeah, he was just a bit hard work, like those kind of questions. And then to be fair, it was like a few months later, he applied again. And I was like, no. Or I think I told him it was like double the price.
I had a client, I told you, you wouldn't even remember this, I haven't spoken about this since it happened. It was like, this was like one of my first 3 clients. And he basically would have a check-in, like he checked in every week, and then he asked every month if he can have a phone call. And I tell you about this, and he was like, he was basically a nonce. I'll tell you about this. So, this is bad, guys. So this is just a funny story. And on like the 4th, like maybe the 3rd month or the 2nd month, it was just before his 3rd payment was coming, like it was supposed to happen, and I was like, I just need to, I was like 19, I was like, I'm just going to get him to pay me.
Gonna do this call?
Yeah, no, and I called him, and he was acting really weird with me the last like 2 weeks, and he was like, so yeah, you done your PT qual? And I was like, yeah, and he goes, how much did that cost? And I was like, a good amount. And he was like, well, if you need any extra money, I could easily be, down for some extra things to get some extra money. And I was like, I just as a joke was like what? And he was like, I said like, he was like, well, like maybe some photos of yourself for me to be motivated and stuff like that. Like I can just pay you a bit. And I was like, yeah, I think I'm just gonna coach you. But like, it was in my head. I was like, I could see where he was going, but I was like, so what?
Still want the money.
Yeah, I was 19. I was a bag chaser. I was like, how can I make some money? So yeah, my phone that night, took some pics. I didn't do that. I shouldn't be in like, that's how I got my PT call, guys. No. So that was the end. And then he didn't pay me for the 3rd month because I said to him, but I don't think we should continue. And I was fuming. So I was like, I had like 2 clients. I was like, you're
losing out.
Yeah, I was like, fuck, I've lost half my income.
At least I didn't get nonce though.
Yeah, exactly. At least I didn't get like.
Weigh it up.
Yeah.
Extra 100 quid or whatever it was. Yeah. Probably not even that back then.
No, I was like 60 quid.
Yeah. Or get nonced.
Yeah. I think I made a good decision. So yeah. So that's that. Right. You want?
One exercise progressed weekly guaranteed. Have to do it weekly until you die. What exercise? So if there's one exercise that would progress forever and you did it every week until you died, what would you want it to be?
Probably a leg press.
Really?
Yeah. Because I think like a leg press, does the form have to stay the same? Because you could just keep adding loads.
No, it's just like, let's imagine that you just magically are able to progress it every single week.
Oh, I was thinking you have to, because
No, it's like you magically progress it. So like I thought you just said like a deadlift. I'd probably say something like a stiff leg.
Yeah, I'd say a deadlift or whatever. But yeah, I'd have the world record soon. No, yeah, I'd have the world record in like probably like 20 weeks then, if that's the case. What's the question? Where is it?
One exercise progresses weekly, guaranteed.
Oh, guaranteed.
Have to do it weekly until you die.
Yeah, I'd probably say like a deadlift, or like imagine you do like a 10 plate cervix hack.
Yeah, but then it's just quads really, isn't it? Like whereas with a deadlift, it's going to be your whole posterior chain really. Maybe even a conventional deadlift, because like there is going to be a bit more quad involvement.
Yeah.
What's a full body exercise?
Like a squat, like a clean and jerk, wouldn't it?
Clean and jerk, yeah. Okay, clean and jerk.
Clean and jerk. That's just such a boring answer. Right. What/who is the highest client you coach, e.g. pros in federations? So, Conor Flanagan, NFM pro. And then
Owen's
MPM Pro.
MPA Pro.
Yeah. Trying to think of anything else. Like, we have overall winners. Other than that, I'm trying to think if I coach. I don't think I coach. Amy's a NFM Pro, so that's one. You have any other pros? So like bottom standard here, guys. Give us a few years. We might have a few IFBB pros and a few WNBF pros and stuff. Like,
I think this year I can get.
What, you get a Sonny?
Sonny's so good.
What, you think you'll get a WNBF pro?
I've told him that's what I want from him,
Yeah.
He is so good. Like when he posed the other day at the meetup,
Yeah.
everyone was like, fuck. Like, I was like, mate, stupid. Like so much, again, like way more impressive in person than the photos.
Yeah.
He's very good. It's one of those where it's like he's got the level, he's got the physique to get one.
Yeah.
Like whereas some people it's like, oh, it'd be cool.
Yeah.
Like Josh, I think next time Josh competes, like I think he'll have the physique to get one. I even think Jack Morgan will next time he competes have the physique to get one, which is really cool. Like especially when I've coached them from like the level at the start. So yeah, really cool. Yeah. I think I'll have an IFBB Pro card next time I compete.
Sick. Your one, isn't it? Your question.
In the Masters.
In the Masters, yeah.
Physique. And following Rob's footsteps. Might as well put these together because I saw Zach asked you as well.
He's asked me a few.
Yeah. How to get into online coaching. Have my PT qualifications already. He also asked.
And then he said to him, will you and Finn ever offer mentorship to people wanting to be online
So
coaches?
I think that's something that we should do. You know, when we spoke about a members site, I think that is something that we should do. We should have like a course where
online coaching course.
Yeah, like because how many questions do we get about how you got into it? Like we get it all the time, and yeah, it's not rocket science, but people also like they do benefit from it. Like when I have clients ask me on a check-in, like the check-ins will be like 15 minutes where I'm just talking to them about like what you should do, how often you should post,
like,
how you should plan
thanks,
it.
Mate,
Like,
I didn't think about that. And it's like, what?
It's just little things that do make a difference. So I think we are like planning on doing a member site, which is going to be like coincided with something else. So I think it would probably be something that I'd like us to run on that. Would be cool.
Yeah, like maybe in it, like
so
a
make sure
section.
you sign up to that, guys.
Well, Zach did actually voted for yes for the members website. So.
Yeah. Well, then it's going to be £100 a month, Zach.
Yeah, you committed to it now, mate.
You've said yes. Anybody who voted yes on that story.
When you type in name, it says like type in Zach, and it's like, oh, price has changed. What?
Yeah,
like,
have
it says £5 here, and it's up to £100. Sorry, Zach. That's the price you have to pay. Right. How to progress in climb press. Got 10 reps with 36 kg, but next weight's 40 kg. You can barely get 2 reps with. I'm guessing them.
Dumbbells?
Yeah.
Don't use dumbbells?
Yeah.
Use a different variation where you can micro load it. Or potentially, like, even just look at other ways of progression, like adding reps or even potentially just improving the execution, adding pauses, etc. But it's one of those, like, for example, like think back in the Dynamite days. Like, they went up to, like, the 65s, but they went up from like 50s to 52 and a halves. If you're getting like 6 on the 50s, like trying to then even lift the 52s doesn't move. Trying to get from the 50s from 6 to 7 might take a month. Like you got to be patient with it, or potentially change it out. Like you're not going to add a rep every week on a heavy dumbbell press.
No, I agree.
Not as a natty.
No, you might not even add any reps as a natty.
Might lose strength year after year after year. Not be able to even touch dumbbells anymore. What colour posing trunks are we going to see you in on stage, if any? In brackets, Reese. Jacob, just wait next time and ask Reese.
Who's asked the question?
Jacob Tipper.
You
can just wait. Reese usually puts a box up as well, mate.
Yeah.
I mean, thank you for asking me. But
I'm actually not asking you. He doesn't care about you.
Yeah.
Just cares about
Reese. What? Not even
brackets. Like leaving it to anybody. Just like Reese.
Yeah. This has to be for Reese.
Yeah.
Please make sure you ask Reese this question
on the Reese podcast.
On the Reese podcast. I love a Reese YouTube or a Reese podcast.
So mad, that's gonna live with us forever. So to be fair, I'm not really sure. I haven't really thought. I think I might go for like a blue or like I don't know, some lighter colour. I went black last time. What do you reckon?
I think a dark blue would be sound.
Yeah.
I feel like red probably wouldn't go with your skin because you've got like a reddy kind of skin anyway. Yeah, acne everywhere.
That was good. I rate that. Yeah, it's got acne everywhere.
Back knee.
Yeah, back knee.
Arm knee.
Yeah. All these spots, guys. Yeah, all these. They're not freckles. They're actually acne.
It's all acne.
Yeah, I don't know what freckles are.
This is a funny question.
Okay.
Well, to be fair, there's a question before this one actually. And
Right,
again,
I'll go for a funny question after this, and that's my last question.
again, this one, like, do you give Reese nightly good night kisses on his forehead? No. Where does that come from?
Fair enough. I got one. It's not really. It's actually a question. It is a question. Who's eaten more rice, an open IFBB pro or an 80-year-old Japanese man?
Probably a Japanese man.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Trying to go on this guy's page. Can't message him because I don't follow him. No, I don't give Reese nightly kisses.
Even though we both love.
Not on his forehead, on his ball sack.
Great.
Would you ever start your own gym / co-own with Reese?
Who's that?
Harry Sheridan.
Oh, fair enough. I think potentially.
Do you know who he is?
No, we spoke about it. We've spoken about this a fair few times on previous podcasts, and it's definitely something that, like, when we went to Be Modified, we were like, "This is cool." Like, that was actually, I think, the first time we properly spoke about it, because
I think we always spoke about it, like, even when
yeah.
we had the shed, like your shed, but obviously we had kit in there.
Yeah.
We even spoke about it then, like, it'd be cool if we had our own.
But I feel like when we went to Be Modified, we were like,
yeah.
"Oh, this is actually something that is like quite doable." When you see something that isn't like massive, but it's like still really, really good, and you want to train there, and it's a cool vibe and stuff like that. So yeah, definitely in the pipeline. But we've got so many things this year that's like way too many things to even think about another thing. So yeah, we'll see.
Are you done?
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay, let's wrap up these then. Macca Morris, biggest thing you've learned from coaching multiple people? It's a good question.
Yeah, I'd say communication and how to handle yourself with individuals is probably going to be paramount in a lot of situations. Like how I speak to, if I was to, let's say, just randomly get all of my prep clients to check in, and obviously prep clients, it's just because obviously you're speaking to them daily, they're all checking on the exact same day, and you were to like listen, if I had Sam filming me, every voice note's slightly different in ways of how I deliver certain things, like how I'd preference certain things. I'm still the same, but it's just I know usually how to speak to somebody so I can get the response out of them, and where to go to really give them a kick up the arse if they need it. Most of the time they don't. You know, so I'd say communication is definitely one. That'd probably be the main one as well.
Yeah, I would say like actually coaching the individual rather than just
Doing
coaching.
Yeah.
Like it's very easy to be like, well, this is what should work, so here we go.
Yeah.
Like it's not always going to be the same. So yeah, coaching the individual, actually getting to learn about that individual, like building a relationship with that person. Like how many preps are unsuccessful when they sign up 2 weeks before and they're fat and out of shape, and then you're like trying to push them and they're like, oh well, they've never even stuck to a diet before. Like, so building a relationship beforehand, actually having time coaching someone, and yeah, like actually coaching that individual. And just like, again, just thinking like, just because this worked for someone else doesn't mean it's always going to work for everybody. Like, obviously the basics remain, but like if someone's just slacking all the time, like, but again, like how you actually speak to that person that's slacking all the time.
Yeah.
You know, do you just be like, right, look, I don't have to coach you, so you either sort yourself out or you move on, or do you actually say to them, look, this is what I want you to do. This is why, you know, I'm getting frustrated, or this is why you're not seeing the progress that you want. Like, it's how you word it with different people. But yeah, there's loads of, I think as well, like obviously the more experience we get with preps, it's like learning exactly how much someone's probably got to pull off, how long they're going to need, you know, their starting point, etc. What's going to work a little bit better for some people than others. Like I'll have some people who I can pretty much run them into the ground. They could be doing an hour's cardio a day and on trace carbs, and they still get 9 hours sleep, no problem. And you know, other people who like you push them a bit and their sleep goes to shit and the performance goes to shit like that, and it's like right, okay, this is going to be a bit different. But yeah, everybody is very, very different. Like you say, you know, I'll chat with most of my prep clients pretty much most days at the minute, if not every day, and like it does have to be a bit different. Like I have some who are just absolutely cruising, and it's like it's easy, and you're just like, yeah, mate, everything's all good. Like keep doing what you're doing. Then other people where it's like you're having to sort of dig into their psyche a little bit more.
I'd also say as well, carrying on with that, like we've spoke about this before, like with a few of my clients, like and then your clients this year, in regards to like, I feel like as coaches, you sometimes put a lot of like pressure on yourself, and there's only so much you can really do. Like when it comes to, let's say, in the back end of a prep, or let's say getting on stage, we have this conversation. You can't control how someone's shape and structure is and how much their muscularity is for if they've signed up with you for the prep or they've worked with you for a year or two, but they're just under-muscled. Likewise, if you were to look at people when it comes to the back end of their prep training, if somebody starts training in 45 to 60-minute windows,
sending you videos
not sending
or telling you
training
about
clips,
it,
or just viewing everything and ticking a box, their stress is through the roof. It's very hard to, like, you can speak to them, but it's very, very hard. And we've said before, in regards to like feedback, if you have a client who's just their head's gone, they're constantly saying food, fatigue, this, it is very hard to actually be analytical when you just look at data, because you're hearing somebody that you're wanting, they feel bad, they feel shit. But then you're like, you got to dig, you got to do this, you got to do that. And nowadays, I think it's one of those where a lot of pressure is thrown. Like, how many times do people leave a coach and they think, oh, it's the coach's fault? Or didn't place, oh, it's the coach's fault. Or this happened, the coach's fault. And in reality, it's like, the coach can only do so much. The coach can only do so much. And me and Finn are never going to want to get anybody on stage who's not going to be in the best spot possible. Yeah. But sometimes you do miss the mark, whether that's the client, whether that's the coach, whether it's part of both. And usually it probably is part of both. But I think nowadays it's a very, very easy sort of game to be like, this person, that person. And
yeah, like I said before, like, obviously when I was coached by AJ, not at one point would I have like pointed blame at AJ for anything. Like, there's things that if AJ was to be here now and we were to chat, there'd be things that we'd be like, oh yeah, we could have managed that better, I could have been leaner, you know, we definitely could have pushed harder at these stages. Like, we probably didn't need to have those crumpets. Have those 700 carb refeeds every week. Like, they were great, but I could have been sharper. Like, there's loads of things, but I'm not going to point the finger and go, AJ coached me wrong or anything like that. Like, I'm just going to be like, okay, I learned a lot and he learned a lot from that. And also, you know, he was still in his earlier years of coaching at that point. Yeah. And the thing is, like, 5 years from now, we're going to be way better than we were back then. But we'll still have the odd client who doesn't get in shape because of whatever reason. Like, just going to a good coach doesn't magically mean you're going to be peeled on stage. Like, you still have to put the work in. Yeah. And like you say, it is difficult when, let's say, you're sort of getting potentially contradicting like data in terms of, like, let's say somebody's training, like, I had an amazing session, feeling really good, but then like they're looking worse and the scale weight's not going down, and then you're questioning, are you doing actually what I'm asking? And like, that's when it gets a bit difficult. I've got a few more, but I think we should leave it there.
Any good ones to wrap it up on?
Right, we'll choose one more.
Okay. PC Master review, James really wants us to
talk about. Well, that's like not really a question, is it?
No.
Okay, we'll do this one and then we'll just answer the rest next time. Who do you know that will be stepping on stage next year that excites you?
Who do I know? Me. Better be me. Yeah, open, like, I say debut, it's not, but it's like a real actual like open debut / like actually show my leg, like proper debut. That's what so better be me for everybody listening to this. Away from me, the main character. Everyone cringes, sorry. Anyone?
I'm trying to think of people that aren't my clients.
Yeah.
I think AJ's competing next year.
I feel like AJ said that he was going to do.
I know, but I think he got an injury, didn't he?
Did he?
Yeah.
What was the injury?
Maybe he's doing this year. No, he's doing a pre-prep now, isn't he?
Yeah, but that's what he was saying to us at Vegas he was going to do this year. I'm pretty sure. He was speaking about maybe doing this year.
Yeah, but then I'm sure that was when he got the injury.
Yeah.
Which is always cool, right? Just because it's somebody that I followed from like getting it started.
No, so we watched AJ when we were in Evo, do you remember? When it was Worlds and we watched the live stream.
We
watched
he
AJ.
Got beat by Dan Sutcliffe. He's competing this year. Dan, he's really good.
Dan Sutcliffe, who's that?
Quite a short guy, really good side leg, like ridiculous. That side leg that you showed your mum that time.
Oh, him. Yeah, freak. Looked like a horse. Like,
but he's competing again this year, and obviously with him being natty, you're not going to have huge changes, but like his lower body is good.
Yeah.
Clients wise that I've got that, like, I don't want to be like, oh, they're exciting, but they're not. Like, any of my clients competing next year is going to be exciting. Yeah. So people outside of our clients, like...
Is Josh doing next year, Campbell? Or is he doing year after?
Yeah.
Good. I was going to say, way too soon.
2026 at the earliest.
Yeah.
Same with, like, Jack. 2026 at the earliest.
Yeah.
Like, we've not said you're going to have to do that year.
No.
For both of them, it's kind of like, see where everything's at. More so for Josh, it's like, it will be when he's a junior, obviously. Yeah. Jack's obviously not in the juniors anyway, so it's like, when life fits, it'll be 2026, 2027, when everything's fallen into place kind of thing.
Yeah. So I think social media wise, there's not really anyone that I can think of. I
don't like follow people closely enough to like know exactly who's competing when and stuff.
Yeah.
The guy that asked us, I think, is competing. It's that GN guy, got a good physique. I think he's a teen. Coached by Tim now. GN trains. I can't remember his actual name.
Hoping he says us or him. GN trains.
Yeah, we.
This dude's messaged me. Yeah,
Gabriel.
Yeah, the guy that has a real good.
He's got really good physique.
Yeah. Jesus Christ, mate! You two are best friends.
Yeah, best mates. Going through our chat, mate.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's coached by Tim now.
Yeah.
I think he's doing next year. So you, mate.
Gabriel, you're the answer.
He's not a teen. He's a junior. I think it's Gabriel.
Gabriel, shit for a junior, bro.
Yeah. Good for a teen.
Yeah, good for a teen. Shit for a junior.
But yeah, we'll leave it at that. Had a few more, but we'll get back to those next time.
Sound. Right, that's that, guys. Hope everyone's enjoyed. Like, comment, subscribe. Podcast are back. Anything you want to leave us upon, mate?
No, you do the outros.
Yeah, but I was going to say, like, anything you want to say? Like, anything you want to plug?
FK Physique's coaching. There'll be a link below for the form for myself or for Noah. Please apply if you're interested in coaching, guys.
I don't need any clients, guys.
You're broke,
my bank
mate.
account's full.
That's what I was saying yesterday.
Can't take clients on. Bank account's full. My car's been stolen. I don't need the money.
Otherwise, plug clothing that we're going to do.
Yeah.
Everything that we're going to do.
Yeah, everything we're going to do. Clothing.
That we will
secret
do.
project. Another secret project. Members website.
Secret members website as well.
Secret member, like dark web members website.
Yeah.
Right. This is a car crash and ending. Bye-bye.
Bye.
See you later.